I love gold. Okay, never mind. So I just got some more parts in, and I am going to get on it. One, because I want to make sure that they fit. This is actually a bunch of the oil pan, oil pump, all that kind of stuff, and I want to make sure that it fits because I need to actually be able to put it on to do the next part of it, which was kind of getting in those lifters. Still need to check my rod length, no, not rod length, my push rod length, so that I can order those. And then once I order those, that's pretty much, round and third base from there. I'll be pretty much finished. At least, kind of with the small block, the short block part of it. And then I'll have to kind of figure out what I'm gonna do about the accessories and the drive, the belt, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. So the parts that came in, I needed the distributor hold down. That came in. I got a oil pump pickup. Definitely needed that. About to put that in. And then I also got my oil pump. Got a little melon oil pump. High velocity oil pump anyway. Let's see. Take this off. Yep, that's exactly why. Check your clearances between the oil pump, crankshaft, connecting rods, oil pan. You need to be able to check these clearances. That's why I'm actually putting this all together. So all this gonna go in just so I can make sure that it all fits so that I can move on to the next thing. You know what I mean? Oil pump. Got that oil pump drive shaft. Went ahead and got some studs, oil pan studs. So yeah, got all that stuff. All that's about to go in. Of course, ended up getting this baby. Got some extra cordage. Pretty decent on there. This one that I kind of mocked up, I think it'll fit the Crown Vic. I know y'all keep saying donk game stressful, but I think donk game is expensive. Crown Vic game stressful because ain't nobody got no parts. So y'all can leave all that donk game stressful stuff, man. Donk game expensive. Crown Vic game stressful. No parts. I did kind of sit it on the block. And even my dark block spec sheet says that a 351 oil pan, you're probably going to have to modify it a little bit. On one side, the holes don't line up right. So I'm going to end up having to kind of, shear out some extra little bit on the holes on one side of it. It's actually this side. So you can see what I'm talking about with the pan. If you look on this side, holes line up pretty much. But then once you go over to this side, you can see they're a little off. So I'm gonna have to come through and kind of get all these holes right so that I can actually use this oil pan. And before you start talking yabba dabba in the comments, 351 Windsor. Okay, so getting started. ARP. See, they marked it up. Just right down in here. There's a little space right there for it to go. But you gotta make sure. Gotta make sure this is facing towards the top, where the engine will be top. And then we turned it over, so technically this is the bottom, and that's the top. So this needs to go right in there. Boom. And then you got oil pump is gonna go on. Now, if you see this piece right here, that's where the drive shaft is basically gonna end up turning the oil pump, right? So drive shaft goes in, oil pump comes in and sits on there, and then the two of these together gonna sit right there. Alright? Now it is very close to the crank here. So once I get in, I'm definitely gonna check the clearances like it told me to, and make sure that it's not touching anywhere, because I don't want any issues with that later. But I'm going to put on the gasket so I can do it that way, and then make sure that it's all good. So it is on there. I mean, man, look how close everything is. Especially right there. How close that is. I mean, even the drive shaft, that drive shaft is really close to touching in there. Oh, there it is. You can see it right there. Man, that's pretty close. When you start to rotate this thing around, look where that thing comes in there. Goodness, that is close. But guess it all fits right. Ain't nothing touching. I don't think a gasket would make a big deal, but I ended up cutting off that much of the gasket. And it's, it's soft. It's basically a paper gasket, but still, I just didn't want that to be in there. And then let's say it ended up getting shaved off after being hit so many times, and now it's basically in my system, in my oil and all that kind of stuff. I'm telling where it would end up being. It could end up in between one of the pistons or something. So I just went ahead and cut that off. But rotated it a few times, kind of looked from every angle. It looked like everything. I mean, even though it's, not that much space in between a whole lot of the things, and nothing touching. So hopefully that's the norm. Guess we'll kind of find out later. Hopefully it is. Okay, so now that this is on, check to make sure it's not hitting anything. Cut off a little bit of that gasket. Actually gonna put on the pickup and see what that do. So we'll put on the pickup and go from there. See what's next. Okay, so what I was talking about was this bolt right here, and then the pickup. So of course pickup goes down this way. It's got a little bit of extra gasket too, which I think I'm gonna try to get that off just in case. I mean, I don't want that coming off and causing an issue. So this is basically what I did the last time. Just took a sharp blade and kind of just cut up with it. Nothing big, nothing hard anyway, but just kind of cut off the excess that would come off and made sure I got it. It didn't go too deep. I don't want to be cutting parts of the gasket that's actually going to matter. But I didn't want this stuff to kind of just come off later on and just be sitting, rolling around in the oil and in the motor and stuff like that. And those filters are there to catch some of that stuff, but this is kind of thick. Didn't want it to cause a big issue later on. So just kind of got that off a little bit. Just take a little sharp blade and it'll come That way you don't have to worry about, peeling too much of the gasket itself. So as soon as you coming right there. And then also I did use some of that sealer gap. See, just a piece right there. Just went down in there. So I'm gonna have to find that. Okay, now something else I noticed when I said before that I think normally this would bolt in there. Well, if you look at it, this is pretty tight, right? Once it's on here, it's pretty tight. If I tried to bolt this in there, I'm gonna actually have to have like some sort of, look like probably about a 1/2 inch spacer in order for this to sit there, and I don't think that that would be good for this main cap. So it's probably okay for it to sit right there, or maybe it's supposed to be a bolt that actually has like a top thread, so there's something else to sit on there. But it don't seem like it's going anywhere. It's pretty sturdy with the pickup right here. So since that's the case, the reason I was really trying to get all this done first night is so that I can make sure that this pan fits underneath all this. All this fits underneath the pan. Because if it doesn't, I need to get that thing back on the next thing smoking. I need to get it on the next thing smoking back to wherever it needs to go. So got the oil pan gasket, and I'm actually just gonna kind of drop the pan, just kind of put the pan on and make sure everything fits. Because if it don't, none of this really works. So, and all of this was a big waste of time, but we'll figure that out. Yep, see? So in other words, this pan does not work with this pickup. So that is problem number 1. Now, would it even work with look like it may just barely work with the fuel pump itself. But it definitely does not work with this pickup, even though it's supposed to be for the right depth. So, gotta go back to the drawing board. More time wasted. God dog.